Okay, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock for the City of Ione Planning Commission, and I invite you to stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic which stands nation indivisible with liberty and justice.
Used to be.
And we'll do a roll call, please, Janice.
Commissioner Gebhardt,
Present.
Commissioner Politi,
Here.
Chairman Huiska.
Present. And next, do we have an approval of today's agenda?
Move to approve the agenda. There is one thing I'd like to pull off of the consent agenda, but we'll get to that.
Pull off of the consent agenda. Okay. We have a second? Just to.
Second.
All in favor? I
Aye.
will accept the agenda. And moving on to the consent calendar with the approval of minutes, I think we have a comment.
Yeah, on the minutes, under regular agenda, starts with 2 instead of 1 because we switched them around. 2B, regarding the Fisher Mizoraka property. It kind of goes through a description and it just ends with the sentence that Planning Commission directed staff to keep the Plymouth Highway property C1. That's true, but it's only half the story. What was actually our city planner, Ms. Peters' idea, and we all thought it was a good one, that C1 and C2 be altered slightly to allow residential uses. And I think that's kind of where we ended that.
Yeah, that's actually correct. So I think it would be changed to Planning Commission directed staff to make amendments to the zoning classifications and bring it back at a future date.
We were trying to be as amenable to the Mizrakas as possible, and just kind of to restate what we went over there. By doing that, including residential, it would, one, be what the city council intended to do from the ones that I've talked to back in 2007 or 8 when this was done. It would take about at least 21 houses that are currently the residents. They've always been residential and they're non-conforming right now, so it would lift any cloud on them. Plus, it would add approximately 20 units that the state would like to see going back to residential.
So my notes, wow, this is really loud, sorry. My notes show that it's, you directed me to allow residential in the C1, C2, and update the C3 to be allowed with a conditional use permit.
Right.
So.
I'll add that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's all.
So with those changes,
Move to approve the minutes, actually the whole consent agenda.
yep.
And all in favor? Aye. For the, sorry, I was taking that as a first and a second.
Yeah,
For
that's it.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
All in favor? Aye for, okay, great. Yes, and confirming those edits will be added. So at this point, we will go ahead and move into a public comment unrelated to the public hearing at this time, if anyone has any comments for. Oh, yeah.
No, but I would like to.
You have to.
The microphone, I
have
think,
to use the
helps the
microphone. Sorry,
recording.
Larry.
Yeah. Oh, the manhandle that.
There, also. I would like to bring up about the new gold rush in Sutter Creek. I think this planning commission should write a letter to Sutter Creek explaining you would like to have a catch basin and all that for the flood. There's going to create a whole bunch of water on that. and it's all gonna come down here, and it's actually in FEMA, what do you call it? Can't think, remember, they did a study, and it's actually in there that this county's even supposed to be doing this, and they haven't been doing anything to protect the downstream people. It's in the Annex B, I believe it is called. Annex B, City of Ione. If you read it, it says in there that the county and them are responsible for making so the water don't come down here and create more havoc, because there'll be a bunch of water. And if you go even to Lodi, it's flat down there. You look at all them sink basins. Sunrise is a huge one. And they don't plan on doing nothing up there.
So
And the
that's
other thing
the Gold
is-
Rush. You're talking about the Gold Rush.
Yes, I'm talking about all the developments up there.
Well,
Because they, as he knows, that cities, I mean, the county's doubled in north of Pine above Jackson since we've been here. And the other thing I would like to bring up, I wish they would have listened to Lori McGraw when they give them $1 million for a bridge on Gold Link Drive that they haven't done nothing with, and it's not a bridge. It's actually a culvert. I called them out on that. And a culvert don't cost no $1 million. I just like that to be brought up. Thank you. Is that golf place? Yeah, golf place road.
Susan, I know last time Larry brought this same
Mhm.
issue up. And could you kind of give us an update on what's going on with Sutter Creek right now?
Sure. So they did a preliminary application review at a joint workshop between the Planning Commission and the City Council. So that application hasn't been deemed complete, but they wanted to get out in front of it and let the council and the Planning Commission have an opportunity to know what is being applied for and get some direction to staff on some of the issues involved. So once that application is deemed complete and they move into the environmental phase, that's the opportunity for the City of Ione to participate in what studies are being done and will be required. So at that point in time, the City of Ione can send a letter expressing our concerns and request those studies.
Can you keep us updated on that?
Absolutely, I will.
Okay, so,
I have a public comment to make.
no,
Yeah,
go ahead.
it's
You can
okay.
have discussion.
It's
yeah.
okay if I sit here. We're being recorded. The last meeting in March, I was really, really disappointed in the city council just going ahead and giving the developer Riverland 5-year extension on their project. That's another example of the taxpayer getting kicked to the curb. Like Larry just mentioned about the bridge, it's not a bridge, it's technically called a drive-over culvert, is what it's called. And the city's not in good shape. We all know that. They could have at least renegotiated, and now I got to backtrack on that because they never did negotiate much of that project. These were just carryovers. At that time, the city council, April was on the planner, and they just gave him $1 million for a culvert and called it a bridge. It's not fair. It's not right for the taxpayer. The city council could have at least kicked it back to us and let us review it. Let us put our 2 cents in. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they think that this commission isn't as smart as them, or I don't know, but it's not right. It's not right. This is one of the reasons I keep saying, and I'll say it over and over and over, we need mandated demands. And rules and regulations before a developer can start anything. You don't do it with negotiations, because this city has a history. That isn't in their vocabulary, negotiate. So I just want to kick that out. I called two of the council members and told them how I felt. And they both tell me, well, they did it on the premise because developer promises that they're going to be putting commercial in before they do housing. And I asked, well, is this in writing? And there's the moment of silence. So we have no sales tax revenue coming in. It's not good. We need to sit down. We need a joint meeting with the council. We need some demands for future development. Otherwise, the city's going to be bankrupt. It's as simple as that. So that's it.
Thank you for the comments. I think we definitely have some follow-up items, Susan, that I think we want to make sure are not just getting lost in our note-taking. I appreciate your references, but I do think as we consider future agenda items, let's make sure that we're coming back to these things as well. So I just want to mention that. So at this time, no further comments. We'll go ahead and open up for the public hearing that we have scheduled today. And Susan, are you opening that for us with your?
Yes. Yes, I have a staff report.
Yes.
So the DeVore Family Trust, which is represented by Mr. Keith DeVore, who is here tonight, along with his brother, they are proposing to split their single-family residence zoned R1B property at 712 West Marlette into two parcels. Parcel A, which is currently improved with two homes, is proposed to be 27,709 square feet, and parcel B, which is currently vacant, is proposed to be 49,027 square feet. No development on parcel B is proposed at this time. The general plan and zoning for the parcel, as I said, is R1B, and the minimum lot size for the R1B zone is 6,000 square feet. So they are clearly in conformance with that. While tentative parcel maps are typically subject to the California Environmental Quality Act, projects which are consistent with the general plan and zoning and have no possibility of causing an environmental impact can be categorically exempted from CEQA review in accordance with section 15061B3. The proposed tentative map request was circulated to responsible agencies for comments, and a comment was received from the Amador Water Agency and are attached for Planning Commission consideration. In accordance with Municipal Code Section 1626080, approvals of tentative maps may be approved conditionally or approved by the approving authority if it finds that the proposed subdivision, together with the provisions for its design and improvement, is consistent with the general plan, any applicable specific plan, and all applicable provisions of Title 16, which is land division. So there are 4 conditions of approval recommended should the Planning Commission choose to approve the tentative parcel map. The first one is that all standards for development shall apply to this project, and this condition shall be implemented to the satisfaction of the city engineer. All connections to city facilities shall comply with city standards. This condition shall be implemented to the satisfaction of the city engineer. The development will be required to install a water service for parcel B and obtain a will serve commitment from the Amador Water Agency prior to recordization of the final map or initiation of service to the development. This condition shall be implemented to the satisfaction of the Amador Water Agency. And finally, payments of all applicable capacity and or impact fees per the City of Ione and the Amador Water Agency's rules and regulations in force at the time of payment and or service is required. This condition shall be implemented to the satisfaction of the city engineer and the Amador Water Agency. Subsequent to the release of this staff report, the applicant, Mr. DeVore, did request an amendment to condition of approval number 3. Because they are selling the property, they would like it to be that they can final the map without having to, they can final the map without that will serve commitment. So as you're aware, the Amador Water Agency has an emergency ordinance that is making it a little more difficult to get those will serve commitment letters. The agency does have a newer policy in place to allow for infill development, but for consideration of the fact that, you know, they need to be able to final the map to sell the existing homes, it would need to have that, but prior to final or after, before they can final. So not before they can final. Let me get that right. So, they contacted the Amador Water Agency, as did I. I talked to Brent Cook, the engineering technician, and Larry McKinney, the general manager, and they were both okay with omitting the line in COA number 3. So it'll read that obtain a will serve commitment from the Amador Water Agency prior to initiation of service to development. So. And staff is fine with that change as long as the agency is fine with that. So should the Planning Commission choose to approve the tentative parcel map at 712 West Marlette Street for the DeVore family, the following actions are recommended: that you instruct staff to file a notice of exemption and that you adopt a resolution number 2025-01 approving the tentative parcel map. Do you have any questions of staff?
I do. Yes, I understand the water thing. That's basically whoever buys that undeveloped half, it's on them.
Yeah.
Right. For the next one down, payment of all applicable capacity and or impact fees.
That's a standard condition of approval.
Right,
It's
but-
just,
but
it's,
that-
it's in our ordinances that they have to pay all those fees. We just pointed out here,
Why
mostly for
did,
disclosure,
why do they have to pay impact fees?
for the new development. So the existing houses don't have to pay impact fees, right? But if you're going to build a new house, you have to pay those connection fees.
I understand that, but this is just for a lot split. And this looks to me like it's putting it on them to pay the impact fees.
No, it's at the time of development or when they're due.
Okay.
But I think also the plan is to sell the properties. So the plan is not that it's simply a lot split that will be retained. I mean, not to, get in front of the public hearing, but I think there is an expectation that there will be a transfer of title and that at that point, some of this will land on the
Whoever is
new-
going to develop that
whoever
property.
will be taking over.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there are
These conditions approval run with the property, not with the owners.
the
Okay,
property, not
alright.
the owners. Right,
Okay.
right. Okay.
Good enough.
So the applicants are here if they want to if you want to ask
Yeah,
questions of them. as
I've got
well.
a question. Is there any intent to try and rezone?
No,
There is no intent
No.
whatsoever.
no, the property is already zoned for residential. That's what's all
Okay.
around it. We intend to keep the vacant property. We don't know what to do with it yet, but we do want to sell the 2 houses. We thought this was the best solution to kind of preserve what was in my family for 70 years. And, that's the best we could do. So, but we would like to sell the 2 houses and then we'll see what's best working with the city of Ione, actually, for the balance of the property.
Are the 2 houses going to be separate?
No, they'll be on
Oh,
one.
so you're
parcel.
going to sell them
together. yeah.
together.
Which has kind of created a unique market, 'cause the interest that people have shown have been people like a family that might have middle-aged adults with young kids, a young 20 or
Mhm,
something
yeah.
kids, maybe young, and they could live together but in separate houses,
Yeah.
or the same with parents and
In-laws, yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah.
a multi-generational concept. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I don't necessarily have.
Yeah, the only other questions I would have would be um, I mean, if you're not gonna try and rezone it.
Yep.
And, you know, and so if you were gonna build on it, that might be we may need a little bit more in here, as far as, sewer upgrades and things like that, infrastructure. Because like I just made my little speech, okay?
Mhm.
I'm tired of seeing the taxpayer,
Sure.
having the blunt of, if you, and maybe you wouldn't do that, but if you sold it to a developer, they may.
Well, I think that's why the water agency has their conditions. They're just trying to
Mhm.
be clear that, and you have other conditions in there too. We
Yeah.
know that if there's a building permit applied for there, that the improvements have to be put in to
Yeah.
serve the,
Yeah.
well, let's say a house.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there is that expectation. I mean, there could very well be a development. It's just, it's zoned for one family
Single
dwelling.
family,
So
yeah.
it's not, I just want to clarify that too. So it's not even like you could necessarily do a multifamily without a zoning. change.
You,
Right.
you can by right do two homes though.
Two homes,
Yeah.
Because
right,
of
with
the
California,
AD,
right.
yeah, with the accessory dwelling unit rules.
And
And
to
it
be,
is-
and to be clear, you could request a lot split there too, because it's zoned properly for that. But we don't know yet.
would be
We don't have a
speculative,
plan.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I'm sure you would have some interest or not you specifically, but the city
Yeah.
would have some interest in what happens to that property? You
So-
want it to look good,
Mhm.
be an asset to
But
the
it
city.
could be subdivided.
Either of those processes, either rezone or another lot split would come back to this planning commission.
Right, those aren't the ministerial, I mean, like a permit for like a new property, that could be a ministerial approval though, and like approval, there wouldn't need to be something that would come before the planning for just like,
A building permit.
right,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
things could happen, yeah.
And that would have to be disclosed, in a contract
Yeah.
that,
Well,
well,
like I said, we're planning to keep the vacant part, so I just don't know what. We've been focused so much on cleaning up and getting the houses ready that we have not
oh, it's a
discussed.
beautiful piece
I
of
mean-
property.
And for the record, I'm Keith DeBoer. I don't think I said that like I'm supposed to when I come to the mic.
So just to be clear, these will be the 4 conditions that with the notation of 3. So my notes are that the amendment now, and I know you probably have this all in writing and it's accepted and everyone's comfortable with it, but that we're accepting that what we have before us is that amendment, the prior to the recordation of the final map, that part is essentially stricken out as agreed by the water agency already.
Yes.
Okay. So really, these would be the only conditions that we have for an approval.
Correct.
Is there any more discussion or any questions? Are we ready to,
Make a motion that, we approve?
in a
Second?
second? And we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote, Janice. So,
Did we open it for public
or,
comment?
oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm jumping to a vote, right?
Thanks, Janice.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so no, so we've had discussion. Obviously, board discussion does not need to have more discussion. So at this point, we'll open it up for any comment today.
I'd just like to thank the DeVore family for keeping one of the nicest places in the whole city. They kept it up for years. Really, really nice. Mom and Dad, you ought to be proud of them. Thank you.
So with that, we'll go ahead and entertain a motion for approval. And I think we had a first and a second, and so we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote at this time, since we do have a hearing.
Commissioner Gebhardt,
Aye.
Commissioner Paliti,
I,
and Chairman Whiteside.
Aye. Yeah, so we, with that, we will unanimously approve the lot split with the conditions as discussed, the 4 conditions with the amendment of lot number 3. So, yeah,
I'll just make one comment. It's good to have DeVore back in the city council meeting. Your dad was a regular. Nope. But he did say always made sense.
and don't forget, no rehabilitation centers, okay?
Require zoning changes. That's right. That's right. So then we will go ahead and move forward with approving the tentative parcel map at the 712 Marlette Street. And we will have staff file the notice of exemption, and we should formally adopt the resolution, which will be resolution number PC 2025-01, the approval of the tentative parcel map 2025-03. And I actually had not fully read through the full resolution. I don't think we had any amendments to this. This was just,
Well,
Yeah, just the
the resolution
item
has the
3.
conditions of approval in it, so that
it does, it'll
those
be the
will need to
item
be
3.
amended
We'll
as
go
well.
ahead and amend that as well,
Before
just
they
to
get signed.
match
Yeah.
the prior to the recordation. Okay. And then with that, we have an approved resolution. So that will conclude the public hearing portion, and I did want to make sure that we have some time for our just some further commentary, just based on some of the public comments, if we want to use this time to solidify some of those future agenda items and some of the comments that we had regarding the culvert on Gold Link Drive. And we're going to follow up on making sure that we are, when the EIR is, so we'll have some timelines though before the EIR is released for
Yeah,
Sutter
so
Creek. I mean,
the CEQA process is essentially they'll hold a scoping hearing, or at least give an opportunity for us to comment on, they open up a scoping so everyone can comment on
can comment
what's
at
the
that time.
concern, and then they base their environmental documentation on those concerns. So
Okay.
that's when it initiates for us, and then they'll do, either they're going to do a mitigated negative declaration because they already have an EIR.
Okay.
So they may do a tiered EIR or a mitigated negative declaration based on the existing EIR. I'm not sure what their planner is going to recommend. But either way, through that process, we will be able to get in on the scoping and then comment on the draft and comment on the final and comment on the project.
Okay.
So there's lots of opportunity for us to get on the
Yes.
administrative record.
No, I appreciate that with the layers. I know I hadn't, I know when it was coming around the first time, and I have not followed it as closely with this next round. It's been a busy time. So I just want to make sure that we have the opportunity as the commission to really take that opportunity and make sure we're doing that. And then as Commissioner Paliti requested, and I think we had made this request last year as well. I think that we'd had one co-planning council meeting at the Evelyn Bishop Hall back in like 2023.
Right.
But I think that, we're hurtling through the year, and I do really appreciate your comments about that item and about reframing that, and how I had made some similar comment that, you know, we do have this commission, we do have this board, we are here to be serving as another layer, another sounding board, and there's certainly these things that do come up that can get stuck in a craw, and we do, I think that comment about, you know, why there wasn't even further discussion or negotiation, I know at that particular meeting, it was, well, let's give credit for what was done, but I think there's always opportunity for negotiation. So I just really want to make sure that we're using those opportunities as well. So, and it's kind of a,
You know, to touch on that, are you?
oh, yeah, no, I am.
To
Yeah,
touch-
no,
to
thank you.
Touch on what you were just saying, that co-meeting that we had over at Evelyn Bishop,
Mhm.
you know, the idea was there,
Right.
but the execution
The
Fell-
execution
through
fell short.
was not there.
There was a challenge, yeah.
What was the topic? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't
was
know.
we-
What was
the
the topic of the
EIR.
joint meeting?
It was the EIR for the school
Okay, that
consolidation.
one I was there
Yeah,
for.
But
Okay.
there was not a discussion, there wasn't it wasn't, the execution fell short. And I had addressed it after the fact too and said, these are some of my concerns about how this had happened and
Yeah,
so.
that was
um,
mostly set up as a public forum to be able for the planning commission and the city council to take questions and
To
comments
take the comments.
from the public. So
Right.
that's why that was set up that way.
Right.
Town meeting.
Yes. Yeah. So,
And they were allowed to comment,
There was,
Yeah,
Right.
planning or council.
we weren't
Right.
allowed
There
to,
was no discussion at all, really. It was like we were all assembled and then there was no opportunity to have discussion as
Right.
wasn't that we had nothing to say, we actually weren't allowed to say anything.
Yes.
oh, yeah.
right.
It was odd.
It was different. It was
It-
different. And so I don't know if that kind of set the tone where like we just never had another one again or something, but it was like we, you know, we had some good workshops, I think in the past that, you know, were kind of,
Yeah. One of the things that, that created that meeting not going well was, and nothing on the person, but the city manager, co-planner was,
well, I was the planner there, so
yeah, Susan was the planner at the time.
I was the planner on that.
no, you were the planner?
Yep,
You
I
were
was
at
the
that
one.
Meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have pages of
Okay,
notes.
then we'll go, okay. Okay,
got
no,
an
no,
email
no,
from me
I
after that
thought- I
meeting.
thought,
I understand what you're saying because there was the
um,
way it was set up was for public and not
what's
so
her
much.
name? I forgot her name.
Amy, get
Amy
me?
Gedney.
Amy. No, not.
City manager, right.
Amy
The
Gedney.
interim city manager, yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, it's,
It was set up, I would agree with you that it was set up.
it wasn't directed.
I think it was in the thinking at that time was for the planning commission, like I said, and the city council to hear from the public so that you could all form your opinions. However, there wasn't a follow-up opportunity other than me bringing the letter
Right.
to the planning commission and the city council for review and approval. And I think with the timing, I'm not even sure I was able to bring it to the planning commission first. I can't remember. I'll have to go look it back.
Don't think so.
I don't think so either. So,
Yeah.
Meeting about Harris Park and Evelyn Bishop Hall? Or was that?
yeah, it was down at Evelyn Bishop.
It was at
Yeah.
Evelyn
That's the
Bishop.
topic of that meeting? I was at that meeting, is why I'm asking.
That was the consolidation school. So,
So, with the West Hills, an engineer firm, I just thought I saw a paper that they charged $7,800 some dollars for the planning for the Waterman Road multiple family dwellings. Now, why did the city have to pay that? I'm gonna bring it up to council meeting.
I know what that's from.
You know about that?
Yeah, it's not, it's not for Waterman Road per se. It's because we don't have adequate capacity analysis of our wastewater treatment collection system. So, and that's being reimbursed by a local emergency action, not emergency. LEAP. It's a LEAP grant. local
Oh,
Environmental.
early action planning grant. Thank you. In order so that we can adequately review developments that come in, to what you're saying. So when a developer comes in, that we know, because we had that potential for multifamily housing there, and then we have the development on Waterman, Waterman Ranch, and then up the road, Ringer Ranch. And without knowing the potential constraints of our sewer collection system, we can't adequately address the potential impacts and what mitigation that we'll need to get from those developers. So those LEAP funds, which were supposed to be used for a bunch of other things, and it didn't happen, we recommended that they switch it over to using that to evaluate the sewer collection system, and those funds will be paid for by that grant. Does that help?
That's a good update. Okay. I think that was the extent of what I had as far as reporting that I wanted to discuss today. Anything additional that you guys want to contribute for reports? You said what you had to say?
What,
Oh, for just the planning commission reports for, oh, actually, yeah,
If you,
we'll open up, yeah.
I forgot to say that I just wanted to thank Susan because she did such a wonderful job of working with us and being communicative. We had some problems with, I won't mention their names, that we couldn't get comments back from, and not the city, but outside people.
Sure.
And Susan was always responsive and worked with us, and that's all you can ask for. That's what you want. So thank you very much. And I was so focused on the project, I forgot to say that.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. No, we appreciate Susan Peters and the longevity, and I appreciate the, your attention to detail and just having your notes tonight and all that. So no, it's a good opportunity to thank her and have a firsthand
thank you for
experience.
thanking us, or thanking her. Yeah,
It's gracious.
and you can mention the names. This is a family show. You know,
All right.
may I ask this, okay, we're brainstorming to get this idea about a group meeting and what have you. How's it gonna start? Who's gonna,
Can I make a recommendation?
Mhm.
Before the meeting started, I was bringing up the idea of when we get two new planning commissioners, having a planning 101 meeting, a workshop on general plan zoning, CEQA. I'll recommend to the city manager that we make that a joint workshop
Great
and
idea.
include development agreements into that, because you do have two applications for large developments. And I think that's an appropriate time before the ball really gets rolling on these two projects, that we have that kind of a workshop. And I think that would be good for new council members and new planning commissioners. So I will make that recommendation if that's adequate.
that would be very nice.
Yeah, no, and I like the idea of making that inclusive and a co-meeting so that those topics and agenda topics are open for council as well as commissioners. So I like it.
and hopefully by then we'll have 5 commissioners.
Right, right. And so that's going back out again. We're doing another posting for that too, Janice? Okay, yeah.
So if you have names,
I know. I
get
gotta
up, people. I just hit somebody else up earlier this
Yeah.
evening too.
If I wanted to be on the planning,
Larry
Pick
did
you up.
apply, but
being on the Parks and Rec Commission,
he's currently on park. Yes, you can only do one.
I'm sure that I was told that I could be on
They
two.
only let you do one?
I could be on 2.
I was told, because I was kind of interested in the Creek Commission when they first started, and I was told only one, but I don't.
It may
know
be in the ordinance. I
basis.
haven't looked at the
I
ordinance.
don't know what the basis
I
for
hope it
that.
checked the
Beyond,
ordinance.
yeah.
I've always heard.
But this isn't an elected,
It's not elected, but it
position.
is appointed.
And there's probably a reason why, so that you kind of spread the joy. So
well,
that
that's
not
true,
one
yeah.
person is in
Yeah.
wearing too many hats.
That's true. That's
So,
true.
I mean, there's a reason for it, but I didn't, we can double check in the ordinance.
We should double check just because I've heard likewise that it's like you kind of have a single role, but I don't know. I don't know what the most recent published,
Yeah.
stuff
We'll
is, so.
review the ordinance, but
I
I'm
would like to
sure.
leave my name in. If I was selected, I would be given, if nothing else, the choice of resigning from one to be on the other.
I think
do that.
that's fair. Yeah, as opposed to saying you have to, right, vacate your seat
have
to
to
even apply for
mention
another.
to,
Yeah, that's a
Gary
good point.
over there, because he was on the Creek, the standing committee.
and then the Creek.
So he had to resign from the standing, so he could be on the,
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay,
but we'll double check it.
okay. It would be worth double checking. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna double check on that and so then in theory, it would be, when does it close? When does the roll, or has it been published yet that
It
it's
was
closed?
published, and we had 2 previous people that were interested. But then I reached out to them again and asked if they were still interested, and both said no.
Okay.
We advertised and we didn't get
Thank
anybody.
you.
We did get Larry. who
Okay,
said
so Larry did,
interested, but he was
okay.
on the-
Well, I heard someone had said they were concerned the timing in the past. They thought, so I just wanted to double check on that because I want to make sure that like if, if people want to, that it is an open period. It isn't like, oh, sorry, that was last month or something, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it was posted to the city's website. and
Okay. Okay,
We'll try
Okay.
again.
okay, sounds good.
I'm hitting somebody else up too.
We'll see. Okay.
One person who might be interested. We'll do some follow-up.
Okay. Then on that note, hopefully we will have some, good items ahead of us for the rest of the year, so. There's nothing else, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you. Did hear that about people, but I'm like, I feel like maybe it's a timing thing, maybe we just need to. I don't know. Been a lot of schedule lately.
Yeah.